Dexter Morgan is a serial killer that really believed he was empty and had no emotions. But over time, we see this process of him connecting with others and the realization he can feel. The other day I thought, if Dexter came across the power rings, which Lantern Corps could he be in? And which corps do I ultimately believe would be perfect for him? Now, for those who don't know, the Lantern Corps are organizations that wield rings with great amounts of energy that are powered by different emotions. These emotions are will, fear, hope, compassion, rage, avarice, and love. Together they form the emotional spectrum, and the two other cores that aren't technically part of this are life and death. I'll be considering this as a valid option for Dex, as I do believe at the end of the video, I'll convince you of my final verdict. With that out of the way, my friends, let's begin. Will. For Dexter, this is probably the most unlikely. When I think about Dexter's willpower, it's his will to fight his urge to kill. After many failed attempts, the only time we see him succeed is at the start of New Blood, where we found out he hasn't killed in a decade. Now, 10 years is a long time, don't get me wrong, but eventually he falls back into his addiction. And with where the story is heading now, it doesn't look like he'll quit again. So although it took an enormous amount of will for him to stop killing, he didn't stick to it. Rage. The Red Lantern Corps is where things start to get interesting. Referring back to New Blood again, we see Dexter's repressed rage finally escape when he kills Matt Coldwell. The white deer Matt kills plays a factor towards Dexter's anger, but it's more so what he took from him. His chance of becoming a better person, his chance of becoming pure. Animals have never liked Dexter. They sense the darkness in him, and not only dogs barking, but it's as far as, well, this is quite funny. In the books, Dexter bought a turtle, but since the moment he bought it, the turtle never came out of its shell. So the thing is, since Dexter started to live a normal life and stopped killing, he was so close to touching this white deer. And on the day he finally could, he was denied this moment. One common trigger for Dexter's display of rage is someone taking from him, denying him of what he deserves. For instance, when meeting Santos Jimenez, the man who murdered his mother, he says, "I feel like you stole my life. I'm not the person I'm supposed to be." His trauma changed him completely, and not only because Harry believed he could never change, which is another conversation, because his urge denies him of being normal. This man in front of me is one of my creators, and because of him, I am not normal. I can't be. This normality was stolen. Now, another aspect I've noticed about Dex in terms of his anger is when an innocent life is taken. Now, we see more than a few times his fascination at a crime scene or admiring one's work. But in terms of his own victims, he brings up their crimes. This isn't a part of the code to show images and to really talk to these victims. This is a choice Dexter makes. He doesn't care about justice, and he isn't necessarily heroic, since his reasons are selfish, but it's his pride in living with certain principles that make him feel like he's better than these killers. We see his disgust in killing innocent people when talking to his victims on the table, when Miguel Prado broke the code, and when he himself broke the code. Most importantly, he was angry at himself. His father's law that he lives by at one point in the story could not be broken. At any time he could have, and he has now, for better and for worse, but why was that? Dexter doesn't want to take innocent life thanks to the weight of the code, and we see time and time again he will refuse to unless he makes a mistake or the writers rush the ending. I mean, if he absolutely has to. Think about Brother Sam, his reaction to a good man being wronged, a man he once wanted to kill. He didn't accept him as a friend at first, but look at how it made him feel. A stronger example is the way he reacts to Aaron Spencer's crimes, a man targeting children. He is filled with rage. Children are innocent, harmless. They're special to him because not only does he get along with them and understand them, but also because he sees the childhood he never had, the childhood he was denied. Probably the most angry we've ever seen him with a victim is in episode 1 with Mike Donovan. He also targeted children. This core is definitely a strong contender. Avarice. The Orange Lantern Corps is about greed. Dexter is financially stable and is never really seen to be interested in money or power. If you guys remember, in season 4, Dexter asked Trinity for $50,000, not for himself, but to lower Arthur's guard and make him look like a regular extortionist. With that being said, he does have an obsession with killing, which could be seen as greed for blood and control. This need of his can never truly be satisfied, no matter how many times he acts out his ritual. However, his lack of being selfish in a traditional sense wouldn't make him a right fit for this ring. Fear. In Season 2, when Dexter's victims are found under the ocean, the public name him the Bay Harbor Butcher. Although he targets criminals, the Butcher being a serial killer still scares the innocent. We see his stepson Cody has nightmares about the Butcher, and so does Deb when she finds out her brother's true nature. Despite being feared to a certain extent, this isn't something Dexter cares about. He actually hates the name he's given, and when interacting with his victims, they're normally scared, but control is the only thing he seeks and wants. Even if Dexter connected to this ring, he wouldn't accept it due to the leader Sinestro being a mass murderer with zero morals. Dexter would be surrounded with fellow killers, but realizing they relish in slaughter and have no code, completely contrasts the code he lives by. Hope. The Blue Lantern Corps is also a miss for our boy. Dexter throughout the series wants to believe he can be better. Especially in later seasons, we see him lose his urges or begin to on several occasions. When Harrison is born, his hopes for a normal life is amplified, and this is his ultimate goal. Unfortunately, hope isn't a defining trait in Dexter, and the Blue Lantern Corps is actually about inspiring great hope. And to be honest, I can't think of a time Dexter inspired someone. I mean, you could argue the comic book character made after Dexter, the Dark Defender, gave hope to people, but that's a stretch at best. I'm sure we can all agree he's just not that type of person. Compassion. At first glance, I thought Dexter wouldn't be able to join the Indigo Corps, but the more I thought about it, the more I convinced myself. To join, the individual must be someone who has the ability to feel or experience compassion, even to those they've never met. We hear Dexter state multiple times that pretending to be sad at a funeral is exhausting, which is the reason why he wears dark sunglasses. Despite him faking his emotions for years, he does have the ability to be compassionate. He just views his emptiness as a gift, since he doesn't have to suffer like normal people. This changes over time, but if we're being honest, this isn't his most dominant emotion, especially to humans he doesn't know. On the other hand, the Indigo Corps also seems to recruit people with a lack of compassion for others and thus recruit in order to redeem themselves. This means a ring could fall into the hands of a criminal, which is interesting because in the eyes of the law, Dexter is a criminal. Taking Dexter's memorable moments of selflessness, like saving Nikki Spencer in Original Sin and saving the refugees in Season 1, would make him a legitimate candidate. And whether the ring meets a Dexter that accepts his darkness and isn't interested in changing, or one that has a flicker of hope for himself, I think he'd still be worthy of wielding it. Love. The one emotion Dexter craves is the ability to love and connect. No matter how many instances we have of him connecting with blonde women and his sister, New Blood tells us he's only ever felt real love with his son Harrison. Fair enough. In the books, I understand he has a deep love towards his daughter, Lily Morgan, and this is his first time he feels the emotion genuinely. To join the Sapphire Corps, you have to have a strong emotional connection to the concept of love, which Dexter is quite limited in. Nowadays, he expresses love 10 times easier and does cater to one rather than the needs of many, but in the world of Dexter, this ring is best suited for someone like Rita. Life. The White Lantern Corps requirements do vary from what I've seen. It's either you have a deep understanding of the balance of life and death, or embody the entire emotional spectrum. I just think this is too pure for Dexter, and maybe the version we see of him in New Blood before Matt Caldwell was the closest he could ever get to wielding this ring. Death. To join the Black Lantern Corps, you must be dead, which if you think about it, technically Dexter did die. New Blood was the end of Dexter, but because the show went viral again, they've decided to resurrect him. The ring controls the user to serve Necron, who has a goal of undoing creation. This means Dex would lose his free will and be the opposite of everything the code stood for. I think this is a cool way of imagining Dexter being allowed to be truly free until you realize he'd be forced to follow a new code, chained once more. This is a ring Dexter could technically wield, and one of the most interesting cores for him on this list. As much as I can picture Dexter in the Black or Indigo Corps, I can't help but gravitate towards the Red Lantern Corps. From the start of the video, it has been pretty clear to me that this is the perfect ring for him. Although Dex is a calm person on the surface, he has a deep rage inside of him. And once he found out the truth about his mother's death, he made sure to get revenge on the men behind it. The ring amplifies a person's rage, and from what I can see, the Red Lanterns aren't necessarily evil, but a means to act out vengeance. So my friends, do you agree with my logic? Or do you think Dexter would be better suited for a different Lantern Corps? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, if you enjoyed me yapping about Dexter, follow the first rule of the code and subscribe. It may be small to you, but it means the world to me. Have an amazing day.